Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, we dive into one of the most powerful, emotional, and visually stunning films of the decade, Gladiator II 2024. A film that brings back the heart, the rage, and the legacy of the original classic. In this full 120-minute breakdown, we will go through the entire story, every major character arc, key turning points, hidden symbolism, emotional moments, and the true meaning behind the film. So sit back, relax, and let's step once again into the brutal world of ancient Rome, where heroes are broken, legends are born, and freedom comes with blood. The film opens with a haunting scene in Numidia, far from Rome. We see young soldiers training, dust rising in the desert wind. The narration introduces us to Lucius Verus, the son of Lucilla and the nephew of the ruthless Commodus from the first Gladiator film. Lucius is grown now, a man shaped by childhood trauma, political corruption, and years of exile. Lucius remembers the moment Maximus saved him as a child. This memory, powerful, protective, and heroic, has shaped his entire destiny. But Rome is not peaceful. A war brews between the empire and the tribes who refuse Roman rule. Lucius, once royalty, is living far away from the palace, raised to be strong, independent, and heroic. The opening battle erupts, showing the brutality of Roman conquest. This is where Lucius first encounters true destruction, and where his journey toward becoming a gladiator begins. That we shift to Rome. The twin emperors, Caracalla and Geta, both cruel, paranoid, and intoxicated by power, rule the empire with iron fists. Lucilla, Lucius's mother, has always opposed violent emperors. She dreams of restoring Rome to greatness. But she is constantly watched, constantly threatened. Caracalla's hunger for domination grows stronger. He wants to crush the world and drown it in fear, believing fear is the path to respect. Lucilla tries to keep Lucius safe, far from the palace. But fate is already close-by. A powerful naval conflict breaks out. Roman forces launch a ruthless attack on the African territories. Lucius fights to protect innocent villagers. He fights courageously, but is eventually overwhelmed by Roman soldiers. When asked his name, Lucius refuses to give a noble title. He simply says, "I am only Lucius." This moment mirrors Maximus's refusal to obey false emperors in the first film. Lucius is chained, beaten, and dragged aboard a slave ship bound for Rome. His destiny sealed. Lucius is sold to a new gladiator trainer, Macrinus, a complex character with a mysterious past. There, Lucius meets Hannibal, Forsetti, Kenan, and the legendary gladiator Acacius, played by Denzel Washington. Acacius is unlike any other trainer. Calm, intelligent, rich in influence, and deeply strategic. He understands Rome more than Romans themselves. Lucius begins intense training. We watch him learn discipline, endurance, and lethal combat. His natural talent begins to show. He is fierce, fast, powerful, but he refuses to kill unnecessarily, which makes him unusual in the pit. Acacius quietly observes Lucius. He sees the fire, the same fire Maximus once had. Lucius enters the arena for the first time. A huge crowd roars as the gates open. The sand shines under the sun. Armor clatters. Fear and adrenaline fill the air. Lucius faces 3 trained killers. The fight is brutal, fast, explosive, and overwhelming. But something awakens inside him. A hidden strength, a hidden memory. He nearly dies, but in a burst of survival instinct, he defeats his opponents. The crowd erupts. A new gladiator star is born. Acacius begins shaping Lucius for bigger battles. Rome is collapsing under madness. Caracalla believes he is a living god. Geta plots secretly against him. The Senate lives in fear. Lucilla hears rumors of a rising gladiator, a man who fights like Maximus. She wonders, could it be her son? But the palace is watching her closely. Her every move is observed. Acacius reveals more about his past. He was once a general, a warrior, a man betrayed by Rome. Lucius learns discipline from him. But Acacius also teaches him something rare. Your strength is not your sword. It is your heart. Lose that, and you are no better than the monsters who rule Rome. Their bond becomes father-son-like. A deep, emotional connection grows. But Acacius is hiding secrets, Secrets that will soon tear everything apart. Rome gathers for the most expensive gladiator games in history. Exotic animals, naval recreations, and impossible battles fill the screen. Lucius becomes a phenomenon. The crowd chants his name. He wins battle after battle, each more deadly than the last. But Lucius doesn't fight for fame. He fights for survival. And quietly for justice. Lucilla finally learns the truth. The rising gladiator is her son. Tears fill her eyes, but she cannot reveal it. If the emperors know, Lucius will be killed. Caracalla watches Lucius fight. Something feels familiar. He becomes obsessed with this new gladiator. He orders a special event. An impossible massacre. Dozens of prisoners, animals, and warriors. All against Lucius and his team. The battle is mind-blowing. Huge, chaotic, and relentless. But Lucius's leadership shines through. He guides his fellow gladiators and they survive the massacre. The people cheer. The emperors are humiliated. But Rome now sees Lucius as a true hero. And that makes him a threat. During a private audience, Lucius finally removes his helmet in front of Caracalla. Caracalla realizes the truth. This gladiator is Lucius Verus, the rightful heir to the throne. Just like Commodus once discovered Maximus, history repeats itself. Caracalla is shaken, terrified, angry. Lucilla begs Lucius not to fight anymore. She can't lose him. But Lucius sees no choice. He must free Rome from tyrants, just like Maximus once did. During a private audience, Lucius finally removes his helmet in front of Caracalla. Behind every masterpiece, there's madness. Behind every dream, there's a nightmare. These are the stories Hollywood doesn't want you to know. But we're only getting started. Because next, we dive even deeper into films where the line between acting and reality disappeared forever. When The Exorcist was released in 1973, it terrified audiences so deeply that some fainted in theaters. But what happened behind the scenes was far scarier than anything on screen. 9 people connected to the film reportedly died before or soon after production. A fire destroyed the main set, except for the room where the exorcism scenes were shot. Director William Friedkin believed the film was cursed. The young actress Linda Blair, who played the possessed girl, was injured when a harness malfunctioned during a violent scene, leaving her in real pain. Her mother's role was played by Ellen Burstyn, who also suffered a permanent spinal injury during filming. And during post-production, strange sounds appeared on the audio tape. Experts claimed they were distortions. But those who worked on the movie whispered that it sounded like voices. Music slows whisper-like. The power of Christ compels you. But in Hollywood, even faith couldn't stop the fear. Narrator. Sometimes art imitates life. And sometimes it takes it away. The Crow was meant to be a Gothic masterpiece. A story about a man returning from the dead to avenge his murder. But tragedy struck when its star, Brandon Lee, son of martial arts legend Bruce Lee, was accidentally shot and killed during filming. The gun was supposed to contain blanks. But due to a fatal mistake, a real bullet fragment was lodged in the barrel. When it fired, Brandon fell for real. And everyone thought he was acting. He died at just 28 years old, on a film about death and resurrection. Afterward, rumors spread that the Lee family was cursed. Both father and son taken young. When The Exorcist was released in 1973, it terrified. The final explosive act begins. Caracalla unleashes the Roman army on the gladiators. Acacius leads Lucius and the gladiators in a full rebellion. The streets turn into war zones. The Colosseum burns. Lucius confronts Caracalla in a brutal, emotional duel. The emperor fights desperately, but Lucius overpowers him. Caracalla falls, Rome erupts in cheers. Acacius is fatally wounded, and in his last breath he tells Lucius, "You were always meant to free them." A symbolic passing of the torch. Lucius stands before the crowd. Rome is silent. He refuses the throne. He declares, "Power belongs to the people. Freedom is not a gift, it is a right." The crowd applauds. Rome begins to heal. Lucius walks away from the Colosseum, finally free, carrying the spirit of Maximus forward. Fade out. Gladiator II is a 2024 epic historical film directed and produced by Ridley Scott. the sequel to Gladiator, 2000. It was written by David Scarpa based on a story he wrote with Peter Craig. The film was produced by Scott Free Productions and distributed by Paramount Pictures. It stars Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, Joseph Quinn, Fred Heckinger, Connie Nielsen, and Denzel Washington. Derek Jacobi and Nielsen reprised their roles from the first film, with Mescal replacing Spencer Treat Clark. Mescal portrays Lucius Verus Aurelius, the exiled prince of Rome, who becomes a prisoner of war and fights as a gladiator for Macrinus, a former slave who plots to overthrow the twin emperors Caracalla and Geta. Sequel to Gladiator was discussed as early as June 2001, with David Franzoni and John Logan set to return as screenwriters. Development was halted when DreamWorks Pictures was sold to Paramount in 2006. The film was finally announced in 2018, and Mescal was cast in the lead role in January 2023, with a script by David Scarpa. Filming took place between June 2023 and January 2024, with a 5-month delay due to the 2023 Hollywood labor disputes. Gladiator II premiered in Sydney, Australia, 16 years after Marcus Aurelius's death. Rome is ruled by the corrupt twin emperors Caracalla and Geta. In the North African kingdom of Numidia, Hanno lives with his wife, Arishat. The Roman army led by General Justus Acacius invades and conquers the kingdom, killing Arishat and enslaving Hanno and the other survivors. The enslaved people are taken to Ostia, where the Romans pit them against baboons to advertise them as potential gladiators. Hanno savagely kills one, impressing the stable master Macrinus, who promises Hanno an opportunity to kill Acacius if he wins enough fights in Rome. Acacius returns to Rome as a war hero. Caracalla and Geta prepare gladiatorial games in the Colosseum to celebrate. Acacius asks for a break from war with his wife Lucilla, Aurelius' daughter, but the emperors refuse and plot to conquer Persia and India. Senator Thraex hosts a party for the emperors, featuring a gladiatorial duel. After Hanno wins, he recites a verse from Virgil's Aeneid, revealing his Roman education and raising Macrinus' suspicion. Acacius and Lucilla conspire with Thraex and Senator Gracchus to overthrow the emperors and restore the Republic. Hanno emulates the late legendary gladiator Maximus in the Colosseum to win fights. Lucilla realizes that Hanno is her son, Lucius Verus, whom she sent away as a child to protect him from rivals for the throne after her brother's death. Lucilla visits Lucius and tries reconnecting with him, but he angrily rebuffs her, believing she had abandoned him. Lucilla reveals to Lucius that he is Maximus' son, and tells him to use his father's strength to survive. During a naval battle in the Colosseum, Lucius leads the gladiators to victory, and fires a crossbow at the spectating Acacius, but fails to kill him. Ravi, the gladiator's physician, befriends Lucius and shows him the shrine to Maximus, which includes Maximus' sword and armor. Lucilla and Acacius conspire to free Lucius as part of their plot to dethrone the emperors. Ravi, the gladiator's physician, befriends Lucius and shows him the shrine to Maximus, which includes Maximus' sword and armor. Lucilla and Acacius conspire to free Lucius as part of their plot to dethrone the emperors. Thraex, who owes Macrinus money, informs him of